October is Mars month for this year. We've got 2 full moons, one on Halloween, 4 brilliantly positioned planets, the Orionid Meteor Shower, and the opposition of Mars. They all make October of 2020 a very rich month for getting out there and looking at the sky. Welcome to Observing with Webb, where a high school astronomy teacher tells you what you're looking at, why it's so cool, and what you should check out later this month at night. Alright, so we've got October, pretty interesting going on this year. So let's start off talking about the naked eye planets, then I'll talk about the events, and then move on to the constellations. So planets. Let's talk about the sunset planets first. As you can see up here already, up in the south, just after sunset, so 7 p.m. and on, in the south you'll be able to see Jupiter and Saturn. All you have to do is look south or southwest before midnight, and about 10:30 at the end of the month, and just find these 2 bright points of light fairly close together, less than a fist width apart. Now, to find Jupiter, you're looking for the brightest spot that is no more than 30 degrees above the horizon, and Saturn will be about 5 degrees to the left of that, about 3 finger widths held at arm's length. Now, this is great because they're 2 of the best targets for your telescope or binoculars, because in Saturn you can see the rings, and on Jupiter you can see the cloud bands making up the sort of layers of Jupiter, and the 4 Galilean moons that actually go around Jupiter as well. Okay, so that is Saturn and Jupiter. Now's actually a good time to get practice, because in 2 months, on December 21st, these 2 will have a very brilliant conjunction very close together. We'll talk about that more later. Now, the next planet you can see throughout the night, and that would be Mars. Okay, there we go. And it's not quite up in the beginning of the month. However, if we fast forward a little bit, there's Mars over there off in the east. So all you have to do to find Mars is look east around sunset, and then around toward the south around midnight. See, watch what happens. That would be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock. Actually, a little more toward the southeast by midnight. Or we can go to October 15th, the middle of the month, a little closer to the south, but it's up there in the south around midnight. And then as you look toward the west and you get toward the morning, Mars starts to set in the west right around sunrise. Now, what you're looking for to find Mars is a bright point of light that's a little more reddish, orangish, and doesn't really twinkle like the rest of the stars. And that's because Mars is actually a disk as opposed to all the other stars, which are more of a pinpoint of light. You want to get your telescope out this month because it's at opposition, and we're going to talk more about that in the next section, but now is the month to take out your telescope. All right, also, this, just in my looking at it, I've almost mistaken it for an airplane, because it is about the same brightness sometimes, but it stays in one spot as opposed to an airplane, which moves. All right, so throughout the night you've got Mars. So let's say we've been out and now we're looking around sunrise. In the morning, you will be able to see not only Mars, but also Venus over here in the east. Now, how do you find Venus? All you have to do is look east and find the bright spot in that direction. It's the brightest thing up there. It also actually, let me rewind the clock a little bit. It rises around 4:30. And it'll still be up there even into the morning. In fact, you can find Venus up there. You can kind of pick it out just before the sun rises. It'll be easy to see. Okay, so let's review. In the mornings, you've got Venus in the east and Mars over there in the west. And at night, after sunset, you've got Saturn and Jupiter up in the south with Mars to the east. Let's talk about the moon. Now, there are 2 full moons, which means the first full moon is going to be on the 1st of the month. That means it's visible the entire night and is fully lit up. Then, over the next week, you actually see it later and later at night. It's mostly lit and rises later and later. Then the last quarter moon is on the 9th of October. That means you don't see it until about midnight, and the left half of it is lit up. You can start seeing it into the morning. Then you've got the morning crescents. The morning crescents in the east in the morning after the 9th. So 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, you should be able to catch a nice crescent moon in the morning in the east. The new moon is on the 16th, which means you're not going to see it, but you can also see a lot of stars. So that from the 9th to about the 23rd is going to be the best time for looking out at the sky with a telescope for deep objects. Then after the new moon come the evening crescents, the thin and getting thicker crescents after sunset off in the west. And then you've got the first quarter moon on the 23rd. That means the right half of it is lit up and it's visible until about midnight. Then the evening gibbous pops up after that, and you've got that mostly lit visible after sunset. And now it's getting thicker and thicker until the full blue moon, which is on the 31st, Halloween, and that's visible all night. Now the moon is going to have some close encounters with some planets. Let's talk about the second. You've got the moon and Mars, so let's go to October 2nd. And you will be able to see, there's Jupiter and Saturn. Let's fast forward it a little bit. There we go. So October 2nd, look toward the east or just find the moon at any point, and you should be able to see Mars and the moon really close to each other. All right, so then we get on to the 6th to the 13th opposition of Mars. There's not really much to show you here, except that the 6th to the 13th is a great time to find Mars. Actually, literally any time this month is a really great time to see Mars because the effects between the beginning and the end of the month aren't that big, okay? But opposition of Mars is on the 13th, and the closest approach is the 6th. Don't ask me to explain why those are different dates. That's a whole bunch of physics that I could do in another video if you really want me to. But, so opposition is when, like, let's say the sun is here, okay? The Earth is on the inside lap, okay? Mars is on the outside lap, and Mars moves slower. So the Earth is coming in faster than Mars and on the inside, so it laps Mars. Now, what happens is when it's lapping, let's say Mars is right here, that's as close as the Earth is going to get to Mars. So Mars is going to be really big in our telescopes. Not as big as the full moon. Don't fall for that hoax, okay? Look it up. But it is going to be bigger than it normally is. Mars is going to be as big as Saturn or Jupiter from our perspective. And you might be able to see some surface markings, especially with how high it is. But yeah, so if you want to see this, just find Mars. So you're going to want to look east after sunset, south around midnight, and west in the mornings. But yeah, you're just going out there and take a good look. And now I've noticed that it's tough to see the markings on Mars with just a telescope. You kind of have to do some image stacking, but maybe I just wasn't having a good night. Don't know. But Mars is what you want to look at. Well, hey, you know what? Let's center it and take a look and see what it looks like here right now. So if you're looking at Mars in a telescope, you might be able to catch the dark markings here and the bright marking here, or maybe some other areas. See, that is centered. So let's see if we can move it. So you can sort of see how it moves around the day. Okay. Don't think you'll really be able to catch any polar ice caps, but maybe. Okay. But that's what you should be able to see. Another planet. Then the next event will be the close encounter between the moon and Venus. All you have to do is look east after 4:30 a.m. So you have to get up in the morning, but after 4:30 in the morning, But before sunrise, if you can find the moon with its nice crescent, you'll find bright Venus right nearby. And on the 13th, the moon is above Venus. And on the 14th, the moon is to the left of Venus, right about there. Okay? Let's see. Then on the 20th to the 22nd, we have the Orionid Meteor Shower. How are you going to see the Orionid Meteor Shower? Here is my tip. 20th to the 22nd, right? Well, your best bet to see the Orionids is to get out there, well, let's say after midnight and before sunrise. So I have this set up for about 5 in the morning because that's about the time I can get out there, okay? On the morning of the 21st. And what you're looking for, you really want to get a wide view of the entire sky, but know that the meteors will be coming from what's known as Orion's club asterism up here. If this is Orion right here, the club is his arm and his club over top that he's using. Okay, really what you want to do is get out there between midnight and sunrise, let your eyes get dark adapted, stop staring at your phone, and find a spot to take a look up, maybe on a hammock, and just be patient. Okay, when I went out to look at the Perseids, I went out for 2 nights in a row, didn't see any Perseids. Granted, I was only out for about 20 minutes at a time, and I live in somewhat light polluted skies, but the next 2 mornings, I went out and took my dog for a walk, and I saw 2 separate days, but 2 meteors right across the sky, just looking up and walking the dog. So you never really know when you're going to see these, but you will probably see more in the mornings. Okay? All right, so that's the meteor shower. You can do some meteor counts if you really want to. You can find those somewhere online. Now, also on the 22nd, October 22nd, let's actually go back to PM. Let's go back to the nighttime. Okay, there's the sunset, 6 p.m. Oh, there it is. So after sunset on October 22nd, you will see Jupiter, Saturn, and the moon all in a beautiful triangle. All you have to do is get out there on the 22nd, look toward the south, find the moon. Jupiter's up and to the right, Saturn's up and to the left. Absolutely gorgeous. Get your telescope out. Okay? And then lastly, if you recall, Mars is over here in this direction. And so what'll happen is the moon will sort of track over toward Mars. There it is on the 26th and 27th, 28th, and 29th. There you go. On the 29th, you've got the moon and Mars number 2 for the month. You just have to get out there after sunset and find the almost full moon in the east with the red, ruddy Mars less than about 4 degrees above that. All right? And then lastly is the blue moon, the full moon, the second full moon of October on the 31st.
Are there patterns in our skies? Are patterns only in our eyes?
So the constellations. Well, here we go right after dinner. So let's say 7 p.m. The sun is set, the sky is dark, and you're looking straight up. You will be able to find the summer constellations still. You've got Cygnus up here. Cygnus the swan, looking very bright, looking like, well, a swan. Then you've got Lyra the harp, with the brightest star in the summer sky here, known as Vega. And then you've got Aquila the eagle down here. You also have Delphinus off to the side here. But just look straight up after dinner, and this is what you'll see. Now, if we fast forward a couple hours, you'll see something different, which is, let's go around 11 p.m. So before you go to bed, you should look straight up, and you should probably find this great big square of Pegasus right here with Andromeda, those 2 curves off to the side. Okay. The cool part about this is if you have not too bad skies as far as light pollution, you should be able to find the Andromeda galaxy up in this area here. I usually just go to the second set of stars in Andromeda and go about the same distance in. It'll be right where this M is. Okay. And let's say you're getting up early in the morning, you should be looking for Orion, looking like a great vertical bow tie in the sky with the club and the Orionid meteors coming from it. So that is it for this month. Don't forget that you can find a podcast of this on podbean.com, Stitcher, or iTunes. We've got this video on YouTube. I'll have other videos on YouTube. I might even do some live streaming this month. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. Webb PV, and also at PV Planetarium on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So with that, I hope you get out and see some meteors. I hope you see some great moon and planet conjunctions, and also get to see Mars through a telescope. Find a buddy who knows what they're doing and take a look. So with that, I wish you very clear, dark skies for the month of October.